Komplete 15 is here. It is a massive bundle, and I definitely think you should get it if you can. However, I want to tell you why I am not upgrading. And I can divide this into 4 categories. The first is content. Yes, I said this is an amazing bundle. It is an amazing bundle, but I go more into that later and explain why I think you should get it, and also why I am not. The second one is price, something which is dear to all our hearts, I think. The third reason is actually quite a personal one, but I will get into that in more detail. It doesn't just affect me, but it is personal. I'll get into that a little bit later. And the fourth reason, it might seem a little bit strange, but I think it's actually at the core of many of the other reasons why I am not upgrading, and that is loyalty. And as it might seem a little bit strange, I'm going to kick off with that one. Now, I might be old-fashioned, but I sort of think loyalty needs to go both ways. If you have friends you are loyal to and colleagues you are loyal to, and even if you are loyal to your place of work, then you expect them to be loyal in return. Now, I have Komplete 14 Collector's Edition, that's the biggie, and I put the upgrade in my basket, and my finger was hovering over the buy button, and it stood there on my screen for a couple of hours while I was actually thinking through what I was actually going to do, and I decided not to buy, at least not at the moment. Now, I think all companies realise the importance of customer loyalty, but it's obviously more important to some companies rather than others. The problem is, the bigger a company gets, I think the more difficult it is, or it apparently seems to be more difficult. I actually don't think it is, but it seems to be more difficult to take an interest in an individual. Now, Native Instruments is a massive company. As of July 2024, it had 637 employees over 5 continents, according to Google. In 2021, a private equity company called Frisco Partners bought a majority stake in it. So I think it's pretty much become a corporate company. So that might explain much of what I'm about to say, but I don't think that is an excuse. If you go into a coffee shop, you have a coffee card, or probably an app on your phone. If you buy so many coffees, you get a free one. In the UK, there's a supermarket called Tesco's. I'm sure this applies to other supermarkets as well. If you have a loyalty card, then you get certain things, certain products at a discount. They are doing their best to show loyalty to individual customers. So I think Native Instruments is pretty much a corporate company. And according to Google, again, they have around 1.5 million users. Now, this is obviously specifically about Native Instruments, but I'm not picking on them specifically when I say that if a company has 1.5 million customers, then the odd 1 or 2, or the odd 100 or 2, or even the odd 1,000 or 10,000 customers, if they lose them, it's really no big deal. It's just part of business. Now, I'm not saying that that is Native Instruments' attitude. I do believe it is the attitude of some other big corporations, but some of the things, some of the practices, some of the things they do just make me feel that as an individual customer, I am not valued. Let's get into that. So as I said, I have Komplete 14, the collector's edition. When 15 was announced, I rushed over to the site and saw the upgrade price was $499, 450 Great British pounds. And there was a little notice which said, log in to see if you qualify for a better deal if you are a loyal customer. And of course I did, and no, I did not qualify for a special price. Now, I've been using Native Instruments. Yeah, I've been part of their ecosystem since Komplete 8 or 9. I have bought keyboards from them. I bought a lot of software. They have had thousands of pounds out of me. So I'm not totally sure why I didn't qualify for a better price. It could be, and I'm going to ask you about this in a second, it could be that since I bought the 14 bundle, I have not bought any other software. because we know that any software they release since the 14 bundle is almost certainly going to go into the 15 bundle. It didn't make sense to me to spend hundreds of pounds on software which I could get in a bundle at a much better price a year or so down the line. Now, that's me. Obviously, people are buying these individual instruments, and obviously that's their right and their prerogative. So it could well be that if you spent a few £100 or dollars on software in between the two releases, you may have qualified for a better price. So I would like to ask you, if you are a Native Instruments user, to check your account and see if they are offering you a better deal than the bog standard upgrade prices. I'd be really interested to know, and if you can hazard a guess as to why you might have been offered a better deal than the standard rate, I'd be interested to know that as well. Now, if you read the small print, if you are searching to see if you qualify for an upgrade price and what price you do qualify for, you will notice that on the collector's edition, at any rate, if you have Komplete 14, 13 or 12, you get it at the same price. So imagine you had Komplete 12 and you give Native Instruments some money to upgrade to 13, and you give them some more money to upgrade to 14. Now, do you think it's right and fair that someone could just jump from 12 to 15 for exactly the same upgrade price as you if you had previously bought two other upgrades? Now, it could well be that that might be one of the criteria for getting a better deal. But if so, you will have already paid twice the current upgrade price. Now, I think it's great that owners of earlier versions should be offered an upgrade path, but I sort of think there should be a better price division between the different versions. Now, Native Instruments is not alone in doing this. Arturia does this as well, which is why I am still on V Collection 8. The upgrade prices for 9 and then to 10 just didn't offer decent value. Now, I have been talking about the collector's edition here, but there are many upgrade paths and prices from earlier KK products, and you might have to dig around a little bit to find them, but here's a page. I shall leave links to all the pages that I mentioned in the description, so you can check them out at your leisure. Now, you might think, okay, this is a business, this is a corporate, just get on with it, buy it or don't buy it, whatever. But Native Instruments does not have a good history in valuing customers. I love the software. I think the company could do with a little bit of work. About 6 months after 14 was released, the sales were obviously slowing down because most sales occur in the first flush of the new release. So Native Instruments decided to offer some freebies to entice people to buy the bundle or to upgrade. So what was wrong with that? Well, as a loyal customer who jumped in and bought the upgrade when it was first announced, did they get the freebies? No, they did not. And I was rather miffed about this, to put it mildly. I made a video about it. I've made a lot of videos about Native Instruments, about Komplete Kontrol. Some of it very, very complimentary, particularly about the software, but sometimes some of the corporate shenanigans I think really, as users, as customers, as loyal customers, I think we deserve better. But check out that video. So they offered free software to entice people to upgrade, but they did not offer this to existing customers. Now, I think that's a really, really, really bad PR stunt, if you like. And I'm reminded of Steinberg after they released the Cubase 12. They did a similar thing. They offered some freebies to entice people to buy Cubase 12 or to upgrade to. But the big difference was existing customers got the freebie as well. So this is not out of the bounds of possibility for big companies. So good PR from Steinberg, although I do think they dropped the ball with Cubase 13. Yes, another video I made about that. Okay, let's move on to content. Now, this is why I totally think you should invest in one of the bundles at least. Let's take the biggie, the collector's edition. Now, there are over 165 instruments and effects and 100 expansions. Forget the expansions, they're just presets. I know some of them are really good, but leave the presets out of it. 165 instruments and effects. Now, it's a bit of an outlay to say the least if you buy this from scratch. 1,600 Great British pounds, not chump change by any stretch of the imagination. Now, you also get 100 expansions, but if you leave the expansions out of it, roughly, this is going to cost a new buyer around £9, 9 Great British pounds per instrument or effect. Throw the expansions into the bundle and it works out even cheaper on a per instrument basis. Now, I know not all instruments are created equal. Some are worth more than others, some are more interesting than others, some cost more than others if you buy them individually. But that's a rough way to look at the value you are getting out of these bundles. Now, if you look at the Ultimate Edition, which is the one down from the Collector's Edition, this has slightly fewer instruments and effects and fewer expansion, but it is considerably cheaper. So on a per instrument basis, this is actually far better value than the Collector's Edition. Now, there is so much in here, so much variety and interest, enough to keep you inspired and enthused until the release of Komplete 16. Quite possibly you might feel you never want to buy another piece of software again. I sort of doubt it, but there is so much in here to explore. It will keep you occupied for absolutely ages. And there's such a range and variety of instruments and effects here. I think this will suit just about every genre of music. Now, the main pages on the website tell you what is in version 15, but existing 14 owners will want to know what the difference is. Now, we have to dig a little bit deeper to find that out, but there is a page, and here it is. So I'll leave a link to this, of course, in the description. So if you are a 14 owner, you can see what new things you will be getting with 15. Now, being an avid Native Instruments user, I watched with interest as they released all of the new instruments they have been releasing since Komplete 14. And when I looked at this bundle, and I thought there are some really interesting instruments which I would really like to try and to play with, but I don't find it as interesting or as exciting. I'm not as excited as I was about the 14 release. Now, when these instruments are released, all the usual suspects do reviews of them, and yes, I would like to use them and play with them, but I waited 2 years, so I can wait another 6 or 9 months. As a whole, as a group, as a bundle, I just didn't find them as interesting or as inspiring as those in the 14 bundle. And I have to say, I've made a lot of videos about Native Instruments and Komplete Kontrol, and a few commenters actually said that the recent releases which Native Instruments has been making, they didn't find them particularly interesting or inspiring. And I think possibly they may have been referring to the Play series, which is quite interesting, but there is nothing absolutely knockout to me, which is I really, really have to get this. Of course, the biggie, or certainly one of the biggies in Komplete 15, is Contact 8. Now, this has some cool features. The chord function is quite interesting. I'm not sure if I would use it. I have a chord function in Cubase. I don't know if any other DAWs have a built-in chord function, but if you haven't, then it's something to play with. Phrases is also interesting. It produces phrases. If you're trying to produce original music, I'm not sure I would be happy using any of them because anyone else could use them. But it's an interesting addition. I think one of the most interesting things is the way the presets are displayed. Now, I don't have Contact 8, so I'm not 100% sure if this is how it works. The presets seem to appear on the left-hand side. Now, in previous versions of Contact, you had to dig through a file system on the left of the window. Some developers, for reasons best known to themselves, I know, they're trying to organize them into sensible folders, but you'd have to dig through folder, through folder, through folder, through folder to get to certain presets and then go back to find other ones. It was a real hassle and a real pain, to be honest. So if they have by chance, I don't know, but if they have improved on that, so all the presets appear in one list, that is probably worth the price of entry alone. But we'll see about that. The other interesting thing is the Leap extensions, which allow you to do, they're called tools, so they allow you to do various things. So they look really interesting and really cool, but not enough for me personally anyway to want to buy the bundle just to get Contact 8. I could upgrade to Contact 8 for 89 Great British pounds, but then if I do get the bundle, which I'm very likely to do sometime in the future, then that's 89 quid I need not have spent. Which brings us, of course, on the price. Now, for me, the upgrade is 450 quid, $499 for our friends in America. Now, this is not chump change. Forking out this amount of money is a very considered decision. And I would just ask yourself, how long does it take you to make $500? So I'm not saying that the upgrade itself is not good value. I haven't done a comparison of how many new instruments you get, but for all the loyalty reasons mentioned before, I am a little bit miffed about the price. And the consensus does seem to be that there will be some sort of discount, possibly in 6 months' time in the Summer of Sound or whatever, or there may be some freebies or possibly both. So I've waited 2 years already for this. I can wait another 6 months. Now, I don't have any inside information on this at all, so maybe it will not be discounted at all. I would be very surprised if it wasn't, because that's the way these companies work, but don't blame me if it is not. But speaking of content, there is nothing in 15 which makes me desperate to upgrade at the moment. I also said there was a personal reason why I am not upgrading, and I really hope this is particular to me and does not affect anyone watching this. But if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I have a degenerative eye condition, and you may possibly also recall that the S-Series Mark II keyboard had built-in speech. So as you were sorting your way through the instruments in Komplete Kontrol, it would read them out to you. It would read out the instruments, the brands and the presets. This was wonderful. Now, the speech feature has not yet been implemented in the S-Series Mark III versions. These have been out for over a year and they haven't implemented the speech in them. Now, I'm part of a visually impaired group of native instrument users, and everyone is waiting desperately for the Mark III version to be given speech. I believe it has been implemented in Machine, but for some reason not in Mark III keyboards. Now, we were told that a beta version of this was scheduled for March, so that's 7 months ago, but that didn't seem to materialize. And as I'm making this video in October 2024, as far as I know, it still has not materialised. Now, with 1.5 million users, I have no idea what percentage of those may be visually impaired. A very, very small percentage, I would hope. But I know there are actually thousands of visually impaired musicians, and a lot of them do use and have relied on the speech in the S-Series Mark II. So not having it in the Mark III means that all these people are not upgrading, as when and if, and I'm sure it will probably come, hopefully before Komplete 16 arrives, but when it does, there will be a flurry of visually impaired people buying the Mark III S-Series keyboard. So maybe that's a bit of an incentive for Native Instruments to get their finger out and actually do this. I suspect their priority for this feature on a scale of 1 to 100, I suspect it doesn't even hit 1. I think there is only one person doing this speech work, and he probably only does it during his tea break 1 day a week. That is absolutely what it seems like. So I made a video comparing, in a sense, Arturia's new Keylab with the S-Series Mark III, because I know the S-Series disappointed a lot of people, and I've got a video about that as well in the description. So I can imagine people who do use Komplete Kontrol might be wondering whether they could get away with using the Arturia instead of the S-Series. And of course you can use Komplete Kontrol and you can use Contact without an S-Series. You just do everything on the computer screen like you do with other instruments. Now I use a screen reader to read the bits of information on the screen, but the one I use and the way I use it, it doesn't read everything. It doesn't read the instrument names or the brands or the preset names. So it's not so easy for people who have visual problems. But the other thing about the speech is, I'm sure even if you have good vision or perhaps a bit of a problem with your eyesight, I'm sure a lot of sighted people would find it useful as well. You can navigate your way around the instrument just using the keyboard. It could be tucked away under a keyboard shelf. You don't even have to see it. Wonderful. So at this point, I am desperately curious to know if you have already upgraded and what you upgraded to. I would really like to know if you've got a special deal and why you think you might have got a special deal when I didn't. Now, I can't believe that anyone would be anything less than ecstatic with this bundle. So if you want to leave a comment and say how thrilled you are with it, I will not be surprised, but I would love to hear that. And conversely, if there's something you find disappointing about it, well, let me know that as well. Also, let me know if, like me, you are also waiting and hoping that this will be discounted, possibly in 6 months' time. What do you think it'll be discounted to? Will we see a 50% discount? Will we see freebies? What do you think? But cutting to what I think is the heart of the matter, your price and so on apart, let me ask you this question. Do you feel valued as a Native Instrument customer? Now, my experience suggests that you probably don't, but do let me know if you do. But if you don't, let me know what they could do, from the things I've already mentioned. Let me know what you think they could do to improve their PR rating. Gosh, lots of stuff to talk about. That's what the comment section's for. So that's it for this one. I'm going to explore some of the instruments I have really explored from Komplete 14. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you again in the next video.